They promised prices would fall on day one. Instead, today, you're watching a Treasury Secretary get caught cherry-picking numbers while families are still paying more for housing, food, and basics. Van Hollen isn't buying the spin, and neither should you.
Ask you about FSOC. I'm glad that you've all established a household resilience committee because people are being financially squeezed from every side. And I've got a whole bunch of quotes here from candidate Donald Trump on the campaign trail. Starting the day I take office, I will rapidly drive down prices and we will make America affordable again. It's interesting he used that phrase since he's been making fun of the affordability phrase recently. But I listened to your exchange with Senator Warren, and the facts show very clearly that inflation has not been eliminated, has it?
Well,
right?
It is undesirable to completely eliminate inflation. What is desirable is to get back to the Fed's 2% target. And for the past 3 months, we've been at 2.1%, Senator.
Yeah. No,
so
but
the 21.5% under the Biden administration.
Look, Mr. I know how you're playing games. You're doing the aggregate over the Biden administration the last few months.
And you are.
No, the number 2.7 is your own number for last year, the year of the Trump administration. So let me ask you.
And you're being a deconstructionist and saying day one.
And great. Well, I'm just reading the president's own statements.
I'm glad you all had the same talk.
Chairman, I ask unanimous consent that these statements be placed in the record.
Without objection.
All right. Look, Mr. Secretary, you used to believe that tariffs would increase inflation and prices. Isn't that true?
I wrote that in a letter to my investors, but a year before, I also wrote that I thought Senator Warren would be the Democratic presidential nominee.
Okay. But,
so my
please.
predictions have been bad.
Please.
Have been bad.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Secretary, it was January 2024. You said that increased tariffs would raise prices.
No,
right?
I said they could, and I also said it would strengthen the dollar, and the opposite has happened.
Yeah.
The prices have not gone up due to 150 years of data from the San Francisco Fed.
Mr. Secretary, you're cherry picking numbers. It is a fact that prices continue to go up.
And
I understand
that is desirable over the long term.
I understand that you said just at this hearing that building costs are down. I just want to point out for the record that the National Association of Home Builders said on January 29th, not very long ago, that costs are up. Construction costs account for about 65% of average home prices in 2024. And they say, and I'm quoting, record high for construction costs since the inception of the series in 1998. Not the Biden administration, 1998. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. 2024 number?
Senator Haggerty.
This is a number from the home builders. I'm happy to share it with you.
Thank you.
Senator.
This exchange isn't really about one decimal point on an inflation chart. It's about whether the government tells people the truth about the economy they're actually living in. Senator Chris Van Hollen walks into this hearing armed with the administration's own promises, we will rapidly drive down prices and make America affordable again, and then holds them to it. What he gets in response is a masterclass in selective math. Focus on a tiny window of data, ignore the longer trend, and declare victory while families are still getting squeezed. When the secretary admits inflation isn't supposed to be eliminated, but just managed to a target, you can hear the goalposts sliding. Campaign rhetoric turns into technical excuses. And when the conversation shifts to tariffs, the contradictions pile up. Tariffs are taxes. Taxes usually raise prices. That's not partisan spin, it's basic economics. Yet instead of grappling with that reality, we get jokes about bad predictions and a pivot to cherry-picked studies. Van Hollen does what accountability is supposed to look like. He brings it back to real life. Housing costs, construction costs, the fact that building expenses make up most of the price of a home, and that the home builders themselves say those costs are at record highs. That's why people feel locked out of home ownership. That's why rent keeps climbing. You can't spreadsheet your way out of that lived experience. This is the bigger divide in American politics right now. Democrats are trying to talk about affordability in terms people actually feel. Monthly bills, rent, groceries, healthcare. While Republicans keep trying to win the argument by slicing the data just thin enough to protect a narrative, Van Hollen isn't playing games. He's calling out the game. And if we want an economy that works for working families instead of press releases, this kind of pushback is exactly what it looks like.